So Hannon and them can tell you about this gig that we did at Constitution Hall, Charles, which I told Hannon it's probably the most consequential gig in my history with Trussel that I think we did.
What year was that?
Yeah, fall of '78, the beginning of the end.
The original lineup was supposed to be Evelyn King opening, followed by Chic, followed by Tom Brown, because he had Funkin' for Jamaica was really huge at the time. So Tom Brown had some kind of an incident on the road, bus broke down or whatever, and he could not make the show.
Oh,
All right.
He couldn't make the show. So then we approached the promoter and said, look, we have a solution for you. Let us go on as Trussel. And then we'll bring Evelyn Champagne King out as the second act. And, you know, we are already on the stage. There's no changeover time and all of that. And then close with Chic. And that was the way the gig went down, and it was a huge success.
I didn't remember that, Juice. So here's Charles. Guess what? This was the original Chic.
I know the bass player was there. The original drummer.
I'm trying to get you to tell him who the singer was. It was the guy singer.
Oh, yeah, okay. It was Luther Vandross was singing background vocals with Chic.
Right. This was the first album when they had all the big hits, Good Times, all that. They were big. All right.
Luther was singing background at that time. He was doing a lot of touring with Patty and a bunch of other folks at that time.
Well, but you know, he sang on all of their stuff. He and Bernard and Niles were boys because of the change and all that other stuff. All right. So Luther was singing background, and they had the string players. It was the original Chic that really blew up.
Right.
Now Bernard, Tony Thompson, all of them.
Yeah, I was with them in the studio when they were producing the girls, We Are Family. What's the girl's name?
Sister Sledge.
I was there.
Okay. So Charles, here's the way the gig goes. So Hannon just helped me understand why we were doing a full set that night, or why we did a set. So from all of our years gigging together on them 4-hour clubs and everything, we had amassed a repertoire like you all, which is we had 4 45-minute sets, and we knew which songs to end with, which songs to whatever. So for us to have
hold on, Bill. We played for an hour and a half, took a 30-minute break, and then played the rest of the night.
We had material, and we specialized in doing Earth, Wind, and Fire because Larry Tynes could sing like Philip Bailey.
Right.
All right. And we had the horns. Right. So one of the songs that we did
you all about on trombone?
Hannon played trombone.
Hannon, that's right. He played the trombone.
Yeah. So and he played trombone and then put the trombone down and played the guitar.
And then played the guitar.
Put the trombone and played and sing background too.
They worked it like a slave, bro.
They worked it, man.
Yeah. He was our go-to man. So, but look, Charles, we always tried to do songs that other people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't always do all the Earth, Wind, and sounds that everybody else did, like Where All the Flowers Gone, stuff like that. Nope. We did I'll Write a Song for You, which allowed Larry Tynes to just soar and to do that thing, man.
Yeah.
Playing all those little lines that's in that song, man, that just made that song special.
Yeah.
All right. We were killing it. We looked up and looked backstage. And to our right was Nile Rodgers, Bernard Edwards, and Luther Vandross. and to the left were the girls and the string players. Everybody in chic had come out of the dressing room
Check
and
it out.
come up on stage to figure out who is this doing Earth, Wind, and Fire,
Right.
as well as Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, this was before Evelyn had come on, right? When we finished that song, they stood up and everybody gave us a standing ovation. Luther and all of them were just standing there clapping, and they was going like, I don't know where y'all came from, but y'all some bad dudes. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
And that was for me the crowning achievement, because we not only got the accolades of an audience that didn't come to see us, but we got folks who know the real deal.
Yeah.
They know the real deal.
The opportunity is that by Tom Burton not showing up, not doing his gig, and turning it into yourself as the opening act.
Right.
I mean, that's a grand opportunity. All these other folks were ready to go on stage anyway, so you had them as an audience.
Right.
You know, even if you had done poorly, you still had them as an audience. And the fact that you shine unexpectedly, because
it was preparation, though. We were ready. We were prepared.
But you were perceived as a backup band, and not prepared for that.
For years, we had sacrificed and did this. Now, remember now, at this time, we did all of Evelyn's backup singing. The girl wasn't with us anymore. Veronica, she had left. So we did all of Evelyn's backup songs with Shane. We were doing all backup singing. We did the whole deal. All she had to do is come out, and we'll move them little congas up front.
One of Larry's famous things was "Bring the girls out, baby. Bring the girls out."
Yeah, bring the girls out.
There was a certain voice that Juicy and you know, all the guys would do. Of course, I was not one of the girls because I could not get up there.
Yeah,
but
no.
It was Bring the girls out, and Spradley and Larry and Juicy. And if Bill wasn't playing horn, he'd be in there too.
Yeah, but remember, this time Spradley wasn't with the band at this time.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not Spradley.
No, this wasn't Spradley. It was just
Linwood.
Chicken, Juicy and Chicken, and when if it wasn't a horn line, it was me and Linwood. We would all sing the 5-part backgrounds for her or something like that. So Charles, here's the problem. When we went to the dressing room after doing Evelyn's set, big tall white guy walks in with Evelyn's father. All right, well dressed, expensive suit and everything else.
Night.
After we were on cloud 9, brother.
All in the same night.
We were on cloud 9, and Pops probably introduced him. Say, hey, fellas, I want y'all to meet somebody. He's like, hey, hi, guys, my name's Bob Schwade, and I just need to tell you right now that I'm now Evelyn's manager. John Black is no longer associated with Evelyn Champagne King. And I want to talk. We want to maintain our relationship. We want to get things going. We need to set up an appointment for us to talk, and we're going to move forward with this thing, and we're going to make this thing happen, right? And we all looking at each other. Huh? Did we just? It's like.
So did the previous management fight it or what?
They couldn't. What are you gonna do? She was 16. She was a minor. When you're a minor, your mom and daddy can fire you. I mean,
Right.
She was a minor.
Plus, Charles, there was a strong arm element to this too.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, when the suits come in.
I'm familiar with that.
The henchmen are hanging around, and they say,
I'm familiar with that.
This is what's getting ready to happen.
And not only that though, but her manager knew something was going down because he had bought this other shyster in, the one that we call Baltimore. He had already bought him in, trying to salvage what was going on with the relationship with her, because a lot of times he wouldn't even be on the road because he's a lawyer. So he didn't have anybody representing him with her when we were on the road. Charles, we did the gig at Brody's that we talked about earlier. Brody's is a place like Sylvia's. It was a main spot for showcasing acts and doing stuff like that. What happened was this was the first time Evelyn had performed in New York, period. All right, because remember, she was based out of Philly.
Right.
Because of T-Life. So we did a 30-minute set, and the president of RCA is sitting there with all of his cronies, because wherever he went, all the little other people followed.
Right.
So the place is packed with RCA people. Top producers are sitting there. And we go out there and kill them. And then we brought Evelyn on, and she killed them. That everybody was just, I mean, you know, it was a hit in New York at the time.
It was already a hit.
It was already a hit. And now you done found out that she can pull it off live?
Yeah.
For real? With this band? Al Gass and Warren Sapp said, we're signing you guys to RCA. And man, the exuberance and I mean, you know, we're going like, yeah, baby. This is before the Constitution Hall thing. This is what was motivating us to go forward after the equipment was stolen. We knew that RCA was going to sign us. We knew that we were going to have our own record deal. After her father had gone to RCA and say this stuff is not doing whatever. See, the guy who came in was an RCA hatchet man. He was the kind of guy that RCA assigned their artists to manage. And Blues can tell you a little bit of the story about what happened when we negotiated. When we sat down and said, okay, what do we want? All right. We made two mistakes, in my opinion, Charles. Number one, we said, you cannot hire or fire anybody in this group. What it did is it precluded them from adding background singers, which is what they really wanted to do. They wanted to add some girls. And we kind of basically took a hard line on, without our permission, we ain't nobody else singing, playing with us. And the other position we took that I think was counterproductive was, we said we want to do all TV performances with her. Anytime she's on TV, we want to perform on TV with her.
You tied their hands, basically.
Exactly. We tied their hands.
Yeah. I don't need my hands tied if I'm giving you a deal.
Right. So they basically said, well, thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
You know, because y'all not going to be able to do all the TV shows where we're not going to fly you to California to do this or do that, or anytime she got to be on TV.
Logically, it's simpler to just bring her than bring everybody.
Yeah, well, after I look at it in hindsight, I kind of realized, Blue said to me one time, Charles, he said, Bill, where we made our mistake was, we didn't let you negotiate with Suede. We sent some other people from the band to negotiate who didn't know how to be flexible. You had been doing all our negotiating for all those years prior to that. And in reality, we really should have had you talking to Suede about what we were going to do in the future. You remember saying that, Blue?
Yeah, coming from that, you know, when you send somebody, when you got a group of guys like us,
right,
and you pick two people and you tell them, you're going to tell them this, and you're not going to take no for an answer, then there's no negotiating.
Yeah, that's the negotiation.
You're tying the hands of the messenger as well as the people that you're negotiating with. So, you know, now, I'm trying to get a deal with you, but the rest of the group is not there to say, oh, that's okay.
Again, this sounds to me like you guys are trying to secure your position as her backup band rather than looking for the opportunity to secure your position as an act in itself.
That as a recording artist,
to me, that's the mistake.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, we were a little tainted because we did have a great deal of loyalty to her previous manager. John made a lot of sacrifices for her on her behalf that her father, and they just never understood where all that money went. So we had an allegiance to John, and we told John, we'll give you 1 year to find us a record deal. And we had confidence in John. Yeah, the other dude just came in and muscled John out of the way. So when he signed the record deal and everything, it wasn't John, it was him.
Yeah.
We didn't know this guy. We had never worked with him. He just came in on the scene towards the end of Evelyn's career. And then when we look up, he's the one calling the shots. And for whatever reason, when Evelyn got snatched from him, it broke his spirit. This is why I believe Hannon and Blues. I just believe it broke John's spirit, you know. And so John,
it happens all the time, bro. It happens all the time.
And John just basically threw his hands up in there and said, whatever. So he basically let the other dude just take us from him.
It happens all the time.
The other dude brought Fred Wesley in to do the music. So see, the other side of that whole thing is, Charles, he didn't really produce our album. Fred produced our album. We ain't got no problem with Fred to this day.
And we requested Fred. Said, we don't know what you have to do, but we want Fred Wesley. So go meet who you got to meet, whatever you have to do. But go find Fred Wesley and tell him there's this band from Virginia that wants him to produce their record.
How many Trussel guys passed other than Larry?
Just Larry and Veronica. They're the only two. Thank God it's still amongst the living.
So everybody's still involved in the music then.
Yeah.
Hannon and Blues both have done a whole lot on their own outside of Trussel. Blues formed the Tunja band that became a staple here. Anybody else Blues?
There was a couple of other reggae bands, but we were the main ones.
We talked to Plunk the other night about how he introduced the Afrocentristic whole groove thing here in the area.
Right.
When he came back, and Hannon, you played with Plunky, right?
I did.
Hannon also played with Roy S for a while, Charles.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep. About a year and a half.
Doesn't surprise me at all. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Hannon, so all of them.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about. That's where I got a lot of respect for what you were doing with Trussel, Bill, dealing with the Tunja band, because we had to share musicians. My drummer Ronnie Coates played with Plunky,
right,
and Juicy played with Plunky, and like you said, he played with Roy S. So lots of times it came to who is Blues going to show up with this time. So East Coast Entertainment. Nobody was really concerned about you being exclusive with them. They just wanted to book the band. So a lot of them were booking college gigs down at the ocean front, up in D.C., at the Roxy, and different places like that. So they were constantly calling me. So here I've got gigs all during, and reggae was during the week. That made it another hassle because a lot of the guys were working jobs too.
right.
So you got a gig way up, up at one of these colleges that's 2 hours away till 2:00 in the morning on a Thursday night, or Wednesday night, or a club in Richmond going bananas on Tuesday night, or something like that. But it was. I learned a lot, during that time about running the band and mainly about personnel management. It is not an easy job. It's
Let me tell you how true you are.
And you have to, it took me years. I mean, I think I just learned here lately how not to take it personally, because you're thinking, oh, this is mine. I put this together. I booked these gigs. I did this and I did that. So I can see how you felt, Bill, when who was it that told you they were gonna fire you if you didn't sign the contract?
Chicken told me he was gonna fire me if he didn't sign the contract.
What do you mean fire me? No, y'all don't tell me what to do. I am the band.
Fire me. Out of all of the people I performed with in all the years, I respected Larry Tynes musically as much as anybody I've ever known. I don't know anybody who to me was more musically solid than Larry Tynes. I mean, he not only being able to play horn and being able to sing his butt off and be able to play his piano off and had the rhythm and he had the funk thing going when he wanted to get up and do his little groove, and then he was also thought outside the box. Charles Larry would at any time wear a nightgown and a scarf on stage at a gig. The difference between Larry and I, which is Larry refused to lead. You know, for whatever reason, I always thought, Blues and Hannon, that if anybody in the band could tell me to shut up and do something, it would have been Larry, right? I always felt that Larry said, Bill, shut up and just play your part. He never would say that. It was not in him to be the leader.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And he had all the skills and ability to do that. And had Larry said, Bill, shut up and play your part, I'd have shut up and played my part. Because I respected him so much like that.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that's why when he passed away, it really broke me down. I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I respected him so much. Everybody on this Zoom call is either 70 plus or going to be 70 soon. All right?
Yeah, well.
Blues and I have our little hourglass that we turn over the same day. We both turn that hourglass over and hope we can get the sand to go through another 365 days. Hannon turned 7 not too long ago in August, and Blues and I are going to be 7 in February.
Yeah, well.
So, Hannon, I got to get out of the mode of being a Trussel member now and get back to one of the Coles modes. So, Hannon, one of the things that we ask everybody when we're closing up is, tell us the most consequential performance or event in your musical career that you had. What is it, the one thing that stands out in your musical career that you can't forget, won't forget, never will forget?
Something that distinctly stands out to you with your time with Trussel. You know, might have been that first gig y'all did at the Mousetrap. Who knows? You know.
No, it might have been one of them gigs with Parliament Funkadelic when the Brides of Frankenstein.
Yes, sir. Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's a difficult question to answer because there were so many of those. I mean, it's hard to just recognize only one moment. But like Bill said, golly, any of those Parliament Funkadelic gigs with the Brides of Frankenstein on it, oh my gosh, man. And they were very impressed with our band. They loved us. They did. But I'm going to say one of those gigs would be the Constitution Hall one. And so we've already talked about that. I'm not going to mention that anymore. But this other one for me was a lesser known gig. It was one we did in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And there was just some kind of connection we had with the audience. I don't know what it was, but when we started playing, they all got up and they did the same dance. They all had the same dance. I don't know what the dance was, but the whole crowd was moving in unison. They all had that same little lope. I mean, to see 10,000 people. And something about the black people in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I don't know what it is, man, but they were all moving together. And I was like, wow. And I had not seen them do that with anybody else. Curtis Blow was on that concert. Sky was on that concert, the R&B group Sky. And I watched the audience with all the performance, and that only happened when Trussel was up there. And we had some kind of a connection with those people, and they all did the same dance. And I was like, wow. I'm glad that we touch people like that. There was a spiritual connection between us and that audience in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I never forgot that.
Blues, what you tell us what's going on. And it didn't have to be per se with Trussel, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I'm going to piggyback off of Juicy. The audience is always my thing. My whole thing, and Bill, you pointed this out years ago when I was still in college. You said, Maclin, you just want to groove through life, and you think you can make everybody happy. As long as you're making everybody happy, you are all right. And you know, and I think that's why I love entertaining so much, because when Dinah Washington and Pearl Bailey and all them would come through my dad's restaurant on number one in Alberta when I was a little boy. Man, they made such a fuss over those people, man. I said, that's the kind of person I want to be. Right. You know, they just lit the whole place up. So thinking about what Juicy said, and the one that's, I've told people that this was the most memorable gig for me, believe it or not, was the homecoming gig we did in 2014 on campus. Just because it was so many people out there that I knew, and half of them I'm ashamed to say because I called everybody man and baby and all that stuff. I don't know names. If God asked me to name 27 people, I might not get into heaven if that's what you got to do to name everybody. But it was about 300 people in there, I guess, or more. And they just loved us. They just poured out so much love. It was like we could do no wrong. And that stuck out in my mind. And one other, if you want to talk about one thing that happened, when I did Big City Rocker, and I looked over to my right up in Atlantic City, and there was this tall girl over there in this white.
Yeah, baby.
The biggest hug. And I said, no, you don't want to hug me. I'm soaking wet. She said, I don't care. Come here. You sang that song. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And so I walked away, and the guy said, you know who that was? And I said, who was it? It was Phyllis Herman. I'm like, oh, who's Phyllis Herman?
Oh, wow.
Open up for. You know, I'm so in the clouds somewhere. I didn't even know who Phyllis Herman was. I just knew we were playing the game. No, that's Phyllis Herman. Oh, the Phyllis. Oh, that's who they. Oh, right, great. And then she sent for me to come to the dressing room and just wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think I will never forget that.
Well, fellas, let me tell you, it's been a pleasure sitting here and listening to these stories. It's been a pleasure just to even see you guys. What I'm looking forward to is sometime after COVID is over. Hopefully, it's going to be after Easter, springtime. We can all get together and do a 50-year-old handshake.
There you go.
So that is my hope that we can do that.
And we're telling everybody here, we're going to try to do one of those on a Sunday evening picture things that, they did that famous picture they did in New York with all the jazz greats. Yeah. We're trying to do a similar thing here in Richmond where we get all the R&B cats from the 60s all the way through the 70s together on one particular Sunday afternoon or something, man.
We're going to schedule it. We're going to schedule
everybody take a picture.
This Let's Talk Music thing has been burning with me for a while. Joe Carter and my boy August Moon, they used to do a TV show in Richmond, mostly about politics and stuff. But both of those guys, I've always been very close to both of those guys. This kind of thing between Bill and I, it's kind of like the thing that they had between August and Joe.
Yeah.
And so when I look back on it, I'm going, that's what we need to do. So that's why I've been hounding Bill that we need to get started on it sooner or later. And I'm glad we did. We had some interesting conversation with interesting people. And I got to see some folks and recall some names that I had totally forgotten about. And I'm with you, Hannon. I can't name 27 people either. I got to sit down and take a while to research it right. And we did between Bill and I, we did come up with over 100 names of people that we've been reaching out to and doing this kind of gathering. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys coming. I know how hard it is to get everybody scheduling, and busy people keep being busy. So I'm glad you guys are still busy. I'm glad you still love the music.
So Blues and Hannon, man, thank you all for tweaking my memory. I'll be honest with you, depending on your perspective at the time, and depending on what you're paying attention to at the time, some of that stuff, I was like, really? We did? Like Blues?
Well, guys, thank you again very much for evening.
Thank you, Charles.
It worked out this way because we did part 1 and part 2 all in one. That was great. I will be in touch again.
All right.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right.